Morning kids. Today we will start our second chapter, that is compassionate souls. Okay, so first of all we will do the introduction. So read the following news headlines. 17-year-old Bablu teaches other poor kids like himself. 19,000 Indian volunteered for the Tech Teach India program launched by the Times of India. So get into groups of 4, discuss how valuable the work of Bablu and the Teach India volunteers is for society. Look for a few more stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary work for the society. Discuss in the class. So this is these two examples are given to you that 17-year-old Bablu teaches the poor kids himself, and 19,000 Indian volunteered. Volunteered means they just come in forward to help without any financial aid or something like that. They just come across to help those to help downtrodden people to teach. Okay, so these are examples given to you to understand this chapter. This chapter is about compassionate souls. Compassionate, what does compassionate means? Compassionate means to have sympathy, to have respect to others. Okay, souls, you means that people. So there are so many people across the world, across the country, who help others. Okay, whose life's main goal is to help other people, to uplift other people, suffering peoples, downtrodden peoples. Okay, to make them to come into mainline, to streamline. So there are so many of the personalities around, many of them. Okay, so here examples are given to you, some of the people. There, for example, given below is a list of the people who cast aside their personal interests from the larger interest of the society. Write the area in which they worked or are working. So in this so let's read out the names. First is Baba Amte. I hope that you are familiar to this name. Baba Amte is a social worker. Okay, he is working for rehabilitation of the people from leprosy. So leprosy is a disease. Leprosy is a disease which is called chhuachut in Hindi. Okay, so he is working for the upliftment of those people, okay, who are suffering from this disease and who are abandoned from the society. So he was working for them. And then Medha Patkar, you must have heard her name. She is a social worker also. She works for Dalits, downtrodden peoples, the people who are not able to have the basic needs in the life. So she is working for them. And then Anna Hazare is also a social worker who work for rural development. Rural development means for who's working for those places which cannot afford the basic facilities. Okay, so he is working for those people and those areas. And Dr. Binayak Sen is pediatrician, and he is working for the social cause also. He is a great pediatrician. He is working for that in his field. And then Mother Teresa, I hope that you all are familiar with this name. Mother Teresa is a missionary. She was working in churches, and she used to work for orphan children. Okay, she used to raise them as if they were her own children. Okay, so she is no more, but her works she has done a commendable job for uplifting those orphan children. Okay, and these are all social workers. They are somehow doing something good for the society, and without any expectation that they would get some profit out of that. Because if you are doing the social work, you cannot get profit out of the social work. You are working because of your own interest. Okay, you are volunteering yourself for the help of others without even thinking of getting anything in return. So that is a social work. Okay, so now this answer 2 is Part 2. Now read about Mahatma Hansraj, the architect of DAV movement, who was an epitome of simplicity and compassion. So here this whole passage is about Mahatma Hansraj, who is the architect of DAV movement, who have designed this movement, and who was an epitome. Epitome means center. Who was the center of simplicity and compassion. Who was very simple man and who has very compassionate heart for others. So we will read about him today. So Mahatma Hansraj, simple living and high thinking. So what was his motto in his life? His motto in his life was simple living and have high thinking. Let's read about him. Mahatma Hansraj, the founding father of the DAV movement, was indeed a noble soul, full of the milk of human kindness. So, Mahatma Hansraj was the founding father of DAV movement. He is one of the founders of DAV movement, and he was a very noble soul, and he was full of kindness. Full of the milk human kindness means that he is full of human kindness. He is very humane, he is very humble, he is all full of kindness and compassionate. He was a Mahatma in the real sense of the word. So he is like a Mahatma, a saint in a real sense of world, that in this world he was really a saint, a Mahatma. The two great Mahatmas, so you know who is the other Mahatma? Two great Mahatmas, Mahatma Gandhi and Mahatma Hansraj, traced identical paths, one in the political and the other in the socio-cultural field. So they both traced identical paths. It means that they both had a same identical path. Identical means familiar path they have, and you know, one is doing that social work or that work of upliftment or goodness in politics, you would say, in political field. Mahatma Gandhi, you know that he has helped us Indians to get our independence, to get our freedom. So he is working in political field, he was working in political field, and Mahatma Hansraj, he was working in socio-cultural field. He has uplifted us people from socio-cultural field. Okay, so they were almost contemporaries. Contemporaries means, what does contemporary means? Contemporary means to to belong to some same age or to same field or profession. So these are called contemporaries. Same age means, for example, to 1 century or to one age. So these are called contemporaries. Okay, they were both frail of body but possessed heroic spirit. So they were both frail of body means they were thin of the body. Their bodies were thin. They were thin in their body, but they have possessed a heroic spirit. It means that they were the we will say that they were the leader of the heroic spirits, means that their spirits were very high, although they were thin and frail by the body, but their spirits, their courage was very high. Okay, they were very high in their spirits. They could have opted for a life of luxuries, but deliberately chose the path of hardships and sacrifice to work for the upliftment of the society. What does this 4 line says? This says that they could have opted like other people for luxuries. They are not forced. They were not forced to do this social work. They are not forced to go through the hardships, to go through the hard work, the toil and the sacrifice. Okay, they have done it by their own self. Okay, because they love their country so much, they love the humankind so much. That's why they have done it. Otherwise, they would have also done something good in their life. They would have done everything for their own self. They could have the life of luxuries, they could have the life of facilities, but deliberately means that consciously, knowingly they have put themselves to that sacrifice. Okay, then they were aware of the fact that if they are going to choose this field or they are going to choose this work, it would bring them very much hardships. It would bring them so many sacrifices and compromises in their life, but they did it wholeheartedly. Why? Because they really wanted to do something for their country. Okay, so that was the spirit in them, and they really want to work for the upliftment of the society. Upliftment क्या होता है? Upliftment means betterment of the society. Okay. Next is, Mahatma Hansraj was born in Khatri family, which was respectable but not very sound financially. So Mahatma Hansraj, he belonged to Khatri family, which was respectable. The family was very much respectable. People have so much respect for this for his family, but it was not financially sound means it was not so financially good. They were not financially good, they were not well to do, they were not rich, although they were appreciated by other people. And his childhood was a long story of poverty and want. So his childhood was like a long story of poverty and want means need, desire. So his childhood was not a happy childhood. He belongs to a poor family. He was surrounded by family and need, so he was not able to fulfill his basics of the need. So he belongs to that family. So read your chapter till here, this whole chapter. There are so many of the difficult words here. You can check your dictionaries and write these in your own book with pencil only. Okay, rest chapter we will read tomorrow.